we have a great adversary that is just touched on in season 3 with the departure of episode 3 with the departure of a craft off the hull of the ship, which says, it's another nod that yes, this is a continuing story. We're going to be leaning into other things. And you return this species in this episode. They park themselves right in front of us and tell us in English, surrender. I'm trying to remember the Nakai. I think it was the Nakai.
I don't think we never named them.
Never
I
on
think
screen.
I just named them for the
I'm assuming that was a production name.
No, I just named them out because everyone was. I think we referred to them as the aliens.
Yeah,
the fandom was like, "What are they called? What are they called?" And I thought, well, I guess they do deserve a name. So
this was one of the cooler species because I forget who it was. I think it was Image Engine who had developed the replicators largely. And then they went on to produce the prawns for District 9. And then you guys were like, you guys can do total photorealistic bipeds. Let's have some for the show. And they looked amazing. They were so cool. How do you think they were pulled off?
I think amazing. They did such an amazing job. And of course, overseen by our visual effects supervisor, Mark Savella, the amazing Mark Savella. But Brad and Robert in particular they didn't want to do rubber masked aliens anymore. Right. That's one of the things with because this was a very different show. But we were never able to do full CGI aliens in the past, really, because they were just so prohibitively expensive, and they never really worked out. I remember, what was that episode where
you had the Riol with Lieutenant Tyler in The Fifth Man in season 5. It's one shot. It looks cool. It's technically 2 shots. But you're right. You can't really sink your teeth into it.
No, I mean, I was thinking of the episode where they join Landry at his cabin.
And they ended up okay. The bear, the mutant bear.
Yeah, it really didn't work. But but these aliens did. Yeah. And I remember the fandom being very impressed and being very excited at the prospect of finally encountering aliens and not just people in
who are descended from ancients.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, other than the Iranians like Tenet and Jupe, you had a story reason for humans. And at this point, you're so far out there in the universe that the only life you're going to encounter is going to be non-human.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Ursini in the second season, they were cool as we'll get to them. But I think the Nakai were something special. And I really wanted to know what their story was. Would you guys have kept that nebulous and kept them just like pecking at Destiny like ducks throughout the show's run, or would you have gone into that?
I think sort of as time would have gone on, we probably would have revealed a little more. I'm not sure if we would have fully revealed. I don't think we would have fully revealed everything, but I mean, after a while, the pecking, while interesting, it's a little frustrating. So I imagine we would have revealed more.
Was there a larger game plan for them that was planned?
This is a question for Brad, because he had a larger game plan for a lot of the elements, including like the major arc related to the background radiation. And, he explained some of it. And, he told me after the show was canceled, he's like, I'm not going to reveal it, or don't reveal it online. In the event that I get the opportunity to finish the story, I want to surprise the audience. And so.
Well, I mean, the thing that terrifies me is that, something's going to happen to him and we'll never know. And it's like, please have
this. He told me.
Okay. And David Blue knows. So,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, I always want to have, his wishes are paramount.
Yeah. So hopefully you'll get the opportunity to tell us in a kind of in a roundabout way if that 4th series goes.
Yeah,
We'll be
I
able to
would
check
hope
in with
that.
Destiny.
Right, and I would hope that in a tangential way, their circumstances could at some point weave into the plot. So that would be nice. All right, let's have a look at Divided. You did these two back to. It really is a two-parter in many, or a three-part, I suppose,
Yeah.
in many respects.
Yeah.
With Justice. The first real come to blows moment for the show
Yeah.
with the cast, the crew of the ship being
Yeah.
split right down in two.
But first, I have to say that I did not write this episode. I wrote Space.
Okay.
And Paul wrote Divided, but as
I
writing
see.
partners, we shared the on-screen credit. But I love this episode, just the dynamic of two factions facing off in the ship, and just that sequence where they start putting their plan into motion and sealing off decks. It's just, one of my favorite sequences of the series.
It's a great departure from and arguably like a SG-1 would have never done this. It's one of those things where it's like, the heroes are the heroes, the villains are the villains. And it's another great example of making a grayer show where they're more like us than they are like any of these heroes that have been depicted before. And, you risk turning the audience against some of the characters because of some of the things that they do.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run, it works.
Yeah, I agree.
Subversion. Dr. Rush and Homeworld Command investigate when Colonel Telford is suspected of spying for the Lucian Alliance. So,
Yes.
Lou Diamond Phillips' character was always kind of a wild card figure. I mean, obviously he was a U.S. Air Force colonel, but at the same time, something was going on with this guy, and I think that was pretty apparent midway through the show, that season 1, that something's happening here. How was it having Lou Diamond Phillips on the show?
I love Lou. Lou's a great actor and just an incredibly nice guy, and a gourmand. He does love his food. So I do appreciate that about Lou. But Lou is fantastic, and his character was, I always thought very interesting in that he was kind of real thorn in Young's side, and even as his character developed and you find out sort of what's going on, you don't really know how much of it is outside influence or how much of it is him. And he's one of those classic characters that you start off hating but end up really liking. They kind of redeem themselves, and I was a big fan of a good redemption arc, and Telford's was great.
Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. It's our goal to share a new Stargate story every day while we're on break. Please feel free to subscribe to future episodes here on YouTube. And if you have Stargate friends who might like this clip, let them know about us. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com to view the complete archive, as well as transcripts from past interviews. I'll see you on the other side.